He respects himself. They don't want men to have self-respect. We're not allowed to have self-respect. We have to sit there and be completely empty vessels waiting for the slave programming to be plugged in, so we'll comply. That's all they want is compliance. And that's why me, as a man who stands up and says, listen, you should become as strong as possible, you should believe in yourself, you should be motivated, and you should also try to make as much money as possible, because money is a very important weapon in the fight against slavery. I am seen as public enemy number one for genuinely improving people's lives. That's how evil these people are.
I am motivated by the lack. I'm motivated by the dark and the yin and the yang. I'm not motivated by the light. When I buy a brand new $6 million car, I'm not motivated to work harder because I have a $6 million car. I'm motivated to work harder because I would hate not being able to buy a $6 million car. And I feel like perhaps my whole life I've been motivated the dark. Still? I think it is, but I think it's just an attachment to the dark. I think the masculine essence is. Even when I was a professional fighter, I wanted to win. But the primary reason I wanted to win is so that I could make him lose. It wasn't about me winning. It was about him losing. He spent 8 weeks calling out my name and telling the world he's going to beat me and telling his wife, don't worry, wife, it's going to be okay. I'm going to win. I'm going to pay for the kids. Don't worry. I love you. I'm training so hard. And he's told the whole world he's going to beat me. So by forcing him to lose in front of his family, that gave me satisfaction more than winning itself. I've always been attached to the dark of the world. I feel like the dark of the world has always motivated me. So on the yin and the yang scale, I have a lot of light and I have so much beauty and I have a very blessed life.
Yeah.
But it is because I've been so deeply in the dark and understand the realities of how the world works. But that's just always been what motivated me. If I want to, once again, put it down to something asinine like buying a car, if I want to buy a Kernan's egg, I don't care about driving the car. I just want other people to not be able to have it.
What's made me the most money is the War Room. The War Room is a private members organization that I run. So when I first got, this is interesting, when I got extremely wealthy, I wanted to know where I kind of felt like I'd gone to outer space expecting to see aliens, and I got there and there were none.
No idea.
I was like, where is everybody? Okay, I'm rich, but I expected once I became rich to meet other men who were rich, focused, intelligent, had their dating lives in order, their physical health in order, their finances in order, their connections in order. And I got to the top of the mountain and I looked around and realized nobody had it. Like, yeah, this guy's rich, but he's cucked by his wife and he's fat. This guy's rich, but he's controlled by the Matrix. This guy's rich, but he's dummy. He just made a bunch of money making music, rap. He's an idiot. This guy's rich. Like, and there was nobody at all. I was like, and I wanted a network of genuine predators. I wanted the Freemasons almost. I thought, I didn't want to join their organizations. But
you wanted people like you.
I wanted people like me. So I started an organization to find those men. If you spend all of your time sitting around people who talk about how to become powerful and influential and rich, guess what you're going to end up being? Powerful, influential, and rich. So now I have the greatest network on the face of the planet. And when I say it's maybe the most money, it's not because of the membership fee. The membership fee is very low. It's cheap. It's because of the opportunities and connections inside of the War Room. And that's why I am ultra competitive, and that's why nobody will ever beat me. If you're an individual and you wake up and think, I want to make my life better, and you spend 8 hours reading a book, that's fine. When I wake up to maybe 25 messages from some of the most influential and rich people on the planet that you've never heard of, telling me, buy this now, this is an opportunity to make money on the Russian ruble, this is an opportunity to make money here, this is an opportunity to make money on this land, this is what's going down in Iraq, here we have an opportunity in Nairobi, and I'm sitting there going, okay, and I have got all this curated information and genuine opportunities in real time presented to me, and within 15 minutes I've made a $5 million investment. You're on page 1. You're still reading your book.
The introduction.
You're still reading. You're still reading the introduction. And this is why, against people like me and my network and the other people inside the War Room, you will always lose. So the War Room's maybe the most money, but not because of membership fees or anything like that, because of the genuine connections and opportunities inside the War Room. And we're just free minds. Anybody who listens to what I say and agrees with it and likes it should understand that you are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
100%.
And if you know that, then you need to make sure you're not spending time with anybody you don't want to be. And if you learn and absorb and you're in the right place, then you can do fantastically well. So the War Room, I mean, with the War Room network now, I could never be broke ever again. I think the world would be a terrible place if everyone had a free mind. You do need the slave minds.
I've heard you say that.
As annoying as they are, you do need the slave minds. You do need the guy who believes that, working the gas station is important and he's good at it. You need him. It's good. You need these people.
But what if that guy just doesn't know any better, though?
It's good.
Or he's
This is what we're talking about. Good, fine. The world can't all be mansions on the Palm in Dubai. They can't all be that. So successful is all about self-definition, which is what I was saying at the beginning. You have to decide who you want to be. And if you wanted to be Joe Schmo and you pull it off, then you'll be a pretty happy, content person. Decide who you want to be. I think the people who are miserable, it's the gap between their expectations and their reality. That's where the misery lies.
Yeah.
My expectations were always enormously high. Even when I was a nobody, I knew I had to be filthy rich and a kickboxer, and I knew I had to be the kind of guy that people gave a shit.
Were you happy at that point?
I know, but I knew I'm basic things. At the age of 15, I knew that if I'm the kind of guy that if I raise my voice, people are going to care. I'm not going to be the guy who starts shouting and everyone thinks it's funny. I know I'm going to be the kind of guy who is genuinely a formidable opponent in all realms of human endeavor. I know I'm going to have money. I know I'm not going to take a shit.
Where did that come from, though?
Well,
You can't just.
Yeah, I know.
I understand what you're saying, because my whole life
you
I
had the
felt
same
like
thing,
there's
bro.
always more. I know that there's more.
But I think a lot of people have that.
Of course.
But the people who are miserable are the people who don't try hard enough to obtain it, because I actually believe, and this is another thing I'll say, I believe the universe is very giving. I think the universe and God himself is very giving. I've yet to meet somebody in all my years who is genuinely giving 100% of themselves day after day, doesn't snake anyone, firm handshake, look you in the eye, doesn't lie to nobody, and tries 100% who doesn't get what they want. I've never seen it. Every single person who doesn't have what they want, there's something in their story that doesn't quite add up. I've yet to see some guy have you ever seen a guy who eats right and trains his ass off and never misses a gym session, ever not grow? Ever.
No, never.
Not what? Not what?
Not grow. Not make
ever. It's just, that's the way the universe works, right? So if you're truly about it and you're truly trying your absolute best, you're going to do it. And that's what I believe. I believe the universe is extremely giving. So when I meet somebody and they go, I really wanted this and I don't have it, I say, you didn't really want it. You're a liar. I don't understand, or I don't fathom the concept of fun. I don't wake up and think, what can I do for fun? I don't wake up and think, what is fun? I want fun. That never crosses my mind. I wake up and think, I have things to do. And if I don't have things to do, I'll find things to do. You can always do more work. There's no such thing as no work to do. After this podcast is done, you can release it and you can make X amounts of clips. That's going to be done. And then you could watch it back and you could analyze every word you've ever said and you could find a way to say it differently. You could look at a dictionary and find new words and you can learn them and you can memorize them all. Then you could sit down and you could rehearse it and use those words and sentences to make sure you pronounce them correctly and you don't make any mistakes. Then you could always do more work from the same thing. The work is never ending. The money is never ending.
So you have to find joy in your work.
Well, you have to find purpose at least. I don't know if I even find joy in my work because I'm stressed and annoyed. I'm furious all the time. What do you mean we've made $1.3 million today? It's a joke. Flip the computer. But it's you have to conquer the earth.
And that's another thing about opportunities, right? Because you have to be positioned to take advantage of opportunities. Yeah. It's like in chess, they say good moves come from good positions. It's true. You can't find a good move from a terrible position, right? If you're sitting at home with no money, it's hard to invest in Bitcoin at $1. It doesn't matter what it goes to, right? You got to be in a good position to take advantage of things. So you've always got to be in a position where you have a good network, you have good information, you have some kind of liquid money, you have the ability to survive without that money, you could take a risk. Like, it's hard to set yourself up. I'm in a position now where I'm in the NBA. I'm an NBA player. I can never go broke again. So it doesn't matter, right? Once you're in the NBA, I can throw $1 million or something. It doesn't matter if it works or not. So for me, it doesn't make a difference. And that's why it's so much easier. They always say the first million is the hardest, and they're completely right. Once you get to a certain point, you can gamble to a degree.
Yeah.
I don't want to sound, airy-fairy, but I truthfully believe the universe is a giving place, and that if you actually really want something, you can have it. How much you want is how much you're prepared to sacrifice. So if you want $500,000 a year, you can definitely make that. And that level of stress you'll absorb for that money and the amount of headache you'll go through, if that's the amount you're prepared to accept for a happy life, you'll have it.
Do you think anyone could do that, though?
I think that you have to pre-decide, right? So even my level of wealth comes with enormous stress. Governments are after me. Like most people are not mentally prepared for the bullshit I go through. So the number one factor that's going to decide how successful you are as a person is your ability to absorb stress, your stress level. The better you are at dealing with stress, the more problems you can fix, the more money you're going to make. What I'm doing now at my stage of my life is buying power. So I thought I wanted to be rich. I didn't want to be rich. I wanted to be free. And in the American political system is a perfect example of lobbyists and lobbying. Yeah. They will lobby for things. They'll come along and say, I'll give you an example. Why are there no high-speed trains in America? America's huge and rich. High-speed trains would be fantastic for America, but the rail network is basically non-existent. The reason is because the oil companies lobby both political parties to make sure that they don't build trains. Everyone drives. Long highways, it's good, sells a lot of gasoline. That's what they want. So once you get to a certain level of money, you realize you want political friends. So you're like, okay, I want this law, or I want this law to work this way. Or I just want someone I can call if this happens to me. And you just start giving a lot of money away, effectively. And you're trying to buy power, and that's the way it's always worked. That's what these huge corporations and companies. Well, the thing is with reading a book is it's a reward without any risk. And this is why I think a lot of people are reading, because nothing can really if you want to learn about self-help, if you want to understand yourself and see what kind of man you really are and learn how to fight through adversity and learn how to get up when life's difficult and learn how to control your mind and learn how to struggle, then you can go to the boxing gym and you can get your ass kicked. You do not need to read any books. You need to get in the gym, walk in there and say, I'm going to fight the best fighter here every single day and not quit until you can eventually beat him. But most people are not man enough for that. So instead they'll read a self-help book and they'll sit there and try and talk to me about mindset. I learned my mindset in battle. My mindset is 87 professional fights. My mindset was learning the reality of spaces in. I don't need to learn any of that stuff. So I learn in reality, and reality is always going to be a better teacher than a book, because you're not learning when you read books. You're regurgitating. You may be reading, but I don't believe you're truly learning. My coach used to say, if it doesn't hurt, you didn't learn. And I think he's completely right. And it's the same with entire life. You see people make the same mistake over and over again until it eventually goes really wrong. And it's only then they'll change.
Then they change. So
absolutely. So I learned how to become self-disciplined and become self-motivated and work hard. And I learned how to face adversity and find strength within myself I didn't know I had. Because people were trying to kill me inside of a cage. And you cannot replicate that by reading pages of a book. So it's a waste of time. There's a study I read about stress. And it was saying that stress has a placebo effect attached to it, because the placebo effect is extremely powerful. So they found some of the most stressed people in the world, and they split them into two groups. And they're all equally stressed. They all have a bunch of cortisol in their blood. The people who believed that stress was bad for you and that stress can hurt you, and they believed those media articles, were dying earlier. They were having heart attacks and having stress-related illnesses. The people who believe the opposite, who just said, stress is part of being successful. I like stress. When I feel stressed, I do my best. It makes me anxious. It turns my brain on. I like being stressed. Lived longer than average. The point is, the same drug, how you look at it and how your body anticipates it, how you feel about it, affects the real world results. I don't think motivation is a real thing. I don't believe in motivation as a concept. I think discipline is real, and I also think discontentment is real. And I don't think it's possible for anybody to stay in a scenario where they're truly uncomfortable. If you fall asleep on your arm and your arm really starts to hurt, even in the deepest sleep, you're going to wake up and move your arm. If you sit there and your life has been in a rut for 7 years, you are semi-comfortable in that rut. Sure, there's days you're pissed off. Sure, you're semi-annoyed by it, but there's also days where you just play video games, eat pizza, and you are truly unhappy and uncomfortable and discontent with your scenario, you wouldn't be in it. So I don't believe there's anybody who's truly, when I was broke, I couldn't sleep. I'm not saying that, please understand me. When I was broke, I couldn't sleep. I'd be trying to go to bed thinking, how the fuck these people have Ferraris? I want a fucking Ferrari. I couldn't sleep. If I had to open a coffee shop, if I sit in a coffee shop, right? If I sit in Starbucks, the whole time I'm in there, not only am I thinking about how they got the money from me and how much I spent, I'm thinking about how I could outcompete them. I'd sit there and go, okay, cool. I'm in Starbucks. I spent £5.68. I got a latte and I got a donut, and I'm sitting here. And that business place, that commercial property right across the street is available for lease. How could I outcompete this coffee shop which just took my money? What's the profit margin on this £5.68? How much did this cost them? The coffee, pennies. Donut, 30p maybe, right? How much is the staff? They pay the staff minimum wage £8 an hour. So I've already paid half. I've already paid 30 minutes work from that brokey, the wage. She's there for another 30 minutes for free, right? How much is the rent? How much is the business rates? If I had to open up there, how would I attract people to come into my shop as opposed to their shop? They got a big brand name. I'm brand new. Okay, well, the bitch working here is ugly. My one's going to be hot. Boom, that's the beginning. Next thing, do they have any signage outside? No, I'm going to try and put some signage outside. Do they have parking? No, I need parking. But when you just start thinking about how you can convince people to give you their money as opposed to giving it to the places they already give it.
Different analytics.
And once you do that, people say, I can't think of how to make money. If you start doing that for a year and just keep a notepad, you'll have 100 ideas of how to make money. You'll sit there and go, there's a place here that's doing this and we could do it better this way. This place online is doing this, we can do it better this way. And then to get them all done, what do you need? Network. You need people. It's all about people. Then you need to either go in the war room if you want to join, or have your people around you and say, okay, we can make money with this. Who's going to do it? Who's not lazy? Who's getting up at 4 a.m. tomorrow? Boom, let's get it done. So there's unlimited ways to make money, but most people go through life and their money is taken from them and they don't even identify how they got tricked out of it.
They just how did it.
Yeah, they just have, how did I spend 16 grand in Cirque last night? Oh, because my ass got drunk. How'd they get me drunk? Well, because the guy, when I first bought the first bottle of champagne, was there on the table, pouring, putting it in my hand, got me drunk, then I spent 16 grand on balls. That's how they got my money. So if I open a club, I need to make sure when people first come in, they get fucking hammered. Nobody thinks about it that way. Nobody thinks, how did they get that out of me? Right? Why am I spending $2,000 for dinner in Novikov? Is it the food or is it the fact that I'm in Novikov and tag myself in Novikov? You have to identify how you're getting famoosed, how you're getting finessed. That's how you do it. But most people just walk through life getting finessed left, right, and center, giving all their money up. How did that happen?
You got to learn to finesse other people.
Yeah, but it's not finessing in a negative way.
It's in a good way.
It's a good way. You have to take money from other people. That's the only way you're going to make money. Yeah. You have to take it. There's a pimp, and he said a really intelligent line. He said, "Business is just other people's money." That's all business is. I want to start a business. So you want other people's money. That's what you want. So how are they going to give it to you? You have to think about it. Nobody thinks about it. And the easiest way to think about it is to think how you're giving yours away. That's a mental model you should adopt. Yeah. And you'll end up with loads of business ideas. Business ideas are everywhere. It's just execution which is difficult. Your ability to speak freely is directly correlated to your insignificance. When nobody listens to you, you can say what you want. If you get a platform and start talking, you will learn very quickly how you're not allowed to say what you want because people are listening. You're free to talk in an empty room. You're not free to talk to millions of people who are paying attention to you. So what we have now in the West is a society which is only linked and only bound by this false idea of freedom. So I'm now at a point where, and my attitude to money, I want to make something clear, is relatively unhealthy. I have no respect for money. There are people who are much smarter with money than me. I don't have any respect for money at all. I don't believe in saving money. And I think a lot of that is down to I'm not advocating people to be like this. It's my life philosophy and the fact that I don't live in any realm of fear at all. I can't imagine myself not being able to make more. I can't ever be poor. And if I wanted something now that took every penny of my net worth, then I would buy it. I'll give you an example. I have an 812 super fast, a Ferrari. I love it very much. They've released
very nice.
Yep, they've released the 812 super fast, the competition version. Instead of 400 grand, it's 1.6 million, which is a big. But my point is, I'm happy to just spend money. Don't give a shit, right? But that's down to my faith in myself. So when you're asking how much of my income is disposable, in my mind, all of it. I don't give a shit. I have a lot of money left because I can't possibly spend it, but I'm happy to spend all my money. What really matters are the systems you build, the robust systems. If you have a robust system that's guaranteed to pay you $50,000 a day, and it always will, and you have faith in it, and you're working hard and you're on top of it, and it's going to pay you at 9 a.m. every morning 50 grand, you can spend 50 grand a day. If you wanted to. You may not want to, but you could. So for me, all of my money is disposable. I don't have a clue how much money I have. When I was broke, I knew exactly how much money I had. I had 117 pounds in the NatWest, and that was it. I'm poor, rent's paid, I ain't got nothing else. When I was broke, I knew exactly how much I had. But now I'm at a point where it gets really difficult to truly measure how much money I have. Because you have cash, okay, that's easy. I have some crypto, which is constantly fluctuating. And then you have assets, and the price of the assets is constantly fluctuating. And then I have But then even then, because I've got to be careful what I say on this podcast. But even then, once you have a healthy respect for money, once you get past a certain amount of money, you don't need it in the bank. Like there's no point in me having 50M liquid in the bank. Why? Well, then what am I going to buy? You know, you're like, as long as you have whatever you have in the bank to run around the world with, you have enough. So you try and put that money to use, right? You buy assets, XYZ. So it's really difficult. Most people don't deserve to be proud of themselves. Yeah. And that's the truth. A lot of people say, oh, I have confidence issues. And I say, if I was you, I would have confidence issues. Of course. I completely understand why you have confidence issues. You're a dork. But we have to be realistic here. We have to be absolutely and utterly realistic because the world is brutal and it's harsh. If you're not proud of yourself, you probably don't deserve to be proud of yourself, so you're not going to feel happy. And you just talked about confidence. Confidence comes from competence. The reason I'm confident is because I'm good at everything. Right. I'm good at everything I do. the things I'm not good at, I'm not confident in, of course. And I know what they are. I don't do them very often. I've now created my reality to the point where I don't do I just don't want to do it. Like I don't play darts.
Yeah.
I'm not good at darts, right? I do what I'm good at. So yeah, I'm absolutely and utterly confident because I'm absolutely and utterly competent, and that takes practice and discipline and motivation, and you need to fail a few times, you need to get up. And like I said earlier, when I learned my entire mindset in professional fighting and chess, the two combined, that's how it comes down to. And when people say, oh, I have competence issues, usually I can look them up and down and say, yeah, if I was you, I would completely and utterly